Hallole, hier ist wieder Chris vom Reisepodcast Erlebnis Irland. Schön, dass du dir heute wieder für uns Zeit genommen hast. Brexit, Troubles, Bombenanschläge. Gibt es eine harte Grenze in Irland oder Backstop? Das sind alles Begriffe, die zurzeit durch die Medien geistern. Wie geht es ab März weiter mit Großbritannien und Irland? Das wissen wir zwar auch nicht, trotzdem hat die 6. Episode unseres Podcasts Erlebnis Irland damit zu tun. Am 23. Juni 2016 entschied sich die Mehrheit der Wähler bei einem Referendum für den Austritt des Vereinigten Königreichs aus der Europäischen Union. Von dieser Entscheidung sind auch die Einwohner Nordirlands, sogar die Einwohner ganz Irlands betroffen, obwohl zumindest die Einwohner von Nordirland gegen den Austritt aus der Union gestimmt haben. Die Einwohner Südirlands hingegen stimmten für den Verbleib in der EU. Von dieser Entscheidung sind auch die Einwohner Nordirlands und sogar die Bürger der Republik betroffen. Die Bewohner Nordirlands haben gegen den Austritt gestimmt, genauso wie Teile Englands, Wales und Schottland. Dies ist symptomatisch für den gesamten Konflikt der vergangenen 1000 Jahre, der in Irland tobte. Über die Jahrhunderte entstanden tiefgreifende, vielschichtige und noch heute sichtbare Konflikte und Gräben zwischen Menschen verschiedener Herkunft und Religion. Belfast galt durch diese anhaltenden Konflikte lange Zeit als eine der gefährlichsten Städte der Welt. Was man auch immer wieder sieht, wenn man probiert nach Nordirland zu fahren und das eigene Auto mitnehmen will, da wird immer gefragt, fahren Sie nach Nordirland? Aber durch die Bemühungen und die Zusammenarbeit der ursprünglich verfeindeten Lager hat sich Belfast komplett gewandelt und gilt nun als eine der sichersten Städte Europas. Seit Jahren gab es wieder einen Bombenanschlag. Dieser wird der New ERA oder der Real ERA oder wie er die auch immer heißt zugeordnet. Ob das so ist, weiß niemand, aber man wird sehen, wie es weitergeht. Auf unserem letzten Trip haben Fee und ich auch Belfast und Nordirland besucht. Gerade dort ist der Nordirland-Konflikt, wie die Troubles in der Schule auch genannt wurden, noch überall präsent. Dieser Anschlag fand nicht in Belfast, aber in Nordirland, und zwar in Derry statt, direkt vor einem Altersheim. Verletzt wurde diesmal noch niemand.
Also jetzt sind wir wieder vom Titanic Experience Museum und warten auf die Belfast Black Taxi Tour, die jetzt jeden Augenblick hier eintreffen müsste. I'm Felicitas. Hi. Nice meeting you. Fine, thank you.
My name's Mick.
Hi, Mac.
People think the troubles in Belfast started from 1969. It didn't. Started as far back as the mid 1500s, and it hasn't went away since then, you know.
So, what we will see during the tour today?
Well, we're going to, the tour is 90 minutes long. We're going to go and visit the Catholic area, then we'll visit the Protestant area, and then we'll visit the run by the Peace Wall, and then we'll come into another Catholic area, and then finish off at the open art gallery in the biggest in Europe, which is on the Falls Road.
Cool. We're quite excited.
Well, I'm always excited doing the tours, you know, because I want to hear people of our troubled past, believe it or not. No point coming here thinking that you just know wee bits and pieces of it. It's steeped in history. No matter what part of the divide you come from, there's good and bad on both sides.
So what was this Catholic-Protestant conflict all about?
You're asking me. Religion. That's what it's exactly as I said. The tourists come from Germany. They had the Berlin Wall. They had the east of Germany and the west of Germany, and someone decided to separate the two countries during the Cold War. So when they had the wall taken down, it sort of gave people hope here that we can strive for peace, you know. But now we've got our wall, it's up. America's talking about building their wall from Mexico to keep the relevant authorities at bay. So we've got the wall at the Gaza Strip, we've got the wall at the Green area in Baghdad, you know. So walls, if you think about it, the first walls to protect people was the Great Wall of China and Hadrian's Wall in Scotland when the Romans built their wall to keep predators out. So walls haven't changed in over 3,000 years, you know.
Keeping people in and keeping people out.
Absolutely. That's why they build walls, you know. And just like the walls here, it's keeping our community safe, but yet divided, you know.
We had a talk yesterday with a Northern Irish person, and he said that the demography changed, that there are more Catholics growing up now than Protestants, and that they see that probably there will be another conflict, maybe.
No, I can't see another conflict. Not in my time, not in your time, not in my children's time. Unless something drastic goes pear-shaped with the British government, because they're the one that's holding the purse strings, telling the people of Northern Ireland what they can do and what they can't do. Take Brexit, prime example. The people of Northern Ireland, the majority voted to stay within the EU. The people of Scotland voted to stay within the EU. And the people from Wales voted slightly, the majority, to stay within the EU. So there you have all Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales all voting to stay within the European Union. But Britain, England decided, no, that's not what we want, but you are all coming with us. So I don't like anyone telling me in my country, when I voted, and we all voted to stay within the European Union. If England wants to go alone, so be it, but don't trail us with you, you know. Because England's ignored this country for 50 odd years, whilst there was bombings and troubles going on. And don't forget, who caused the trouble was the English, way back in the 1500s, and I'll explain that to you at the start of the tour. So I'm different, okay. I'm really different in my outgoing personality, you know.
But this is also what makes you two special.
Well, it does, because we do the hardcore tour, which is completely different to the rest of the taxis in Belfast. We actually are able to tell you how it happened and why it happened, rather there's a painting on the wall and the reason for it. A good lot of the drivers have lived through the troubles. Anyone in the early 50s, 60s and 70s actually worked and actually grew up through the troubles, and that's unique here. That's why we're so good at during our tours, because we've lived through it. We know what it's like. And for you to ask me to say someone suggested that we will go back to the conflict, no. We'll only go back to the conflict if England decided to pull the plug on the setup here.
How did this mural painting all started?
Well, I'm going to come to that now for you. This is our first stop here.
Also sind jetzt gerade beim ersten Stopp, das erste Wandgemälde. Man sieht drei Frauen auf einem Bild, die einen Acker bewirtschaften. Sie sehen ziemlich verarmt aus. Und im Hintergrund sieht man das Meer und Berge und Klippen.
Okay. First, I'll describe to you about the tour. Okay. How Ireland was at war and who caused all the aggro. Ireland's never been the invader to anyone around the world. They've never declared war on anyone outside the shores of Ireland. Ireland's always been the invaded. They've always attracted everyone coming to have war with us. Okay? So Ireland split into four: Ulster, Munster, Connacht and Leinster. 4 kingdoms. Each kingdom had its own king. The king for Ulster was O'Neill, and he said to his 2 sons, whoever lands from Carrickfergus to the other side of the loch will get half my land. So the 2 sons, neck and neck, about 6 feet out from shore, the youngest one cut off his right hand with the sword and threw it onto a rock, claiming he's the first person to land on the shore. So this is why we've got the red hand of Ulster in Catholic flags and Protestant flags, although the Protestant flags didn't come to after 1922 when Northern Ireland was formed. So the Catholic flag for Ulster is a yellow background with a cross of St Patrick with a white shield and the red hand of Ulster in the middle of it. That was the first flag ever made for it. Rather, the Protestants will have a white background with the cross of St George, okay, the Star of David and the crown of the king or the queen on top, alright, and the red hand of Ulster in the middle of the St David Star. And that's a Northern Ireland flag, okay. They both have the red hand of Ulster in the middle of it. Who paints the paintings? Okay, ex-prisoners that come out of jail, because they have to paint their own landings within the jail of their own nationality, the Union Jacks or the tricolour, okay. When they've got that good, then they come out and they paint the walls. Now, Catholics paint their walls for brutality or no justice. Protestants paint their walls for glorification of killing Catholics, okay. And we will see that as we go along the tour. And I'll let you make up your own mind. Alright? So, first of all, who came to Ireland? The Vikings, the 700s, arrived in Ireland. They came, they raped and pillaged Ireland to the core, taking all away our silver, gold and jewellery. But they decided they don't want to stay here, so they went back home. They went back to Scandinavia, Norway, wherever they came from. Next, we had the English. In 1126 AD, King Henry II's son, Prince John of Lambert III, was given a birthday present, Ireland. Away you go, fill your boots. So he arrived in the middle of Ireland. Enniskillen was his director of operations there, and he actually named a village after his English army called Garrison, and that's still there today. Next, 1204 AD, the Normans arrived from Normandy. Okay, a rich Norman knight called John de Courcy built Carrickfergus Castle, 9 miles straight in front of us, and it's in pristine condition today, not a brick or stone out of place. Nothing happened in the 1400s except local clan fighting between Gaelic warriors. A wee bit of Normans still remained here, so they fought them too in the middle of Ireland. 1556, Queen Elizabeth I came to the throne, and of course she didn't get on well with Spain. And Spain sent a navy to her called the Spanish Armada. In the Great Battle, Spain only exit was round the top of Scotland, down the west coast of Ireland and home into the Bay of Biscay. The Great Storm of 1561, 6061, blew at least 30 Spanish galleon ships onto the shores of Ireland. Elizabeth didn't want a reprisal of them rebuilding their ships, an invasion to England again. So she asked all the English soldiers who were based here to kill all the Spanish sailors. In doing so, Spain being Catholic and Ireland being Catholic, the Irish people housed the Spanish sailors. Of course, the English people, the English soldiers, slayed them too. So really, 1561 to 1564, it was really the first confrontation between England and Ireland as two countries. 1649, another gentleman from England decided to try his luck in Ireland in the name of Oliver Cromwell. He stayed here for a couple of years and he slayed over 400,000 Irish people. Almost 3/4 of a nation. Just killed them. He was a Protestant, they were Catholics. He had an agenda to wipe out the Catholic nation. Alright. When he went back home, he died. Of course, King Charles II regained the throne, but he died, so his son, King James II, took the throne in the name of his father. He was a Protestant king, but he woke up one morning and he says, I want to be a Catholic king. Of course, the king was the head of the Church of England, and he didn't do too much, so the people didn't really see him fit to be their king. So he went up to Scotland and they didn't want him, so he went over and came to Ireland and he set up his home here. Of course, the Pope of Rome wasn't a happy chappy, so he sent out a letter of help throughout Europe. Of course, there's only one person really answered it, was the royal Dutch family. They were Protestant and the Pope was a Catholic, very unusual, to help each other. So the Pope gave him money, and the Royal House of Holland, Prince William, he formed an army of 25,000 strong soldiers in Europe and came over to England, but James wasn't there. They said he was over in Ireland. So of course William landed at Carrickfergus Castle in June 1690 and made his way down to the banks of the River Boyne. On the 1st of July 1690, the battle was over in a day. James, cousin King Louis XIV of France, he went over to see. William married James's sister Mary, so basically his father-in-law was his enemy then, and King Louis XIV was his cousin also through marriage. 1822 to 1827, 1700s, after that there we saw the 7 failed Irish rebellions to get the English out of Ireland. 1822 to 1827 we saw the mass exodus to the east coast of America from the Irish immigrants here. Okay. And 1916 we actually saw the British Army engaging with the Irish people here in Dublin. And this is where the Easter uprising started on the 24th of April 1916, when they surrendered to the British Army at the GPO in O'Connell Street in Dublin. Then we go back to 1968, when the Catholics paraded the civil rights marches here for better
living conditions,
better working conditions, better job prospects, better opportunities. The Protestants more or less tried to hijack the marches and the riots started. The British soldiers entered here, and then we had our 48-year dirty war here. I call it a dirty war because both sides, there's good and bad on both sides, and the British government done a wee bit of mixing to keep the fuel going, to keep it going. You know what I mean? If the British troops didn't come here, I reckon the war would have lasted, been over in about 4 months. But it wasn't. It was 40 odd years. From 1969 till decommissioned in 2004. The Good Friday Agreement was 20 years old this year. On Good Friday, this is when the people signed the documents to have peace. It was known as the Good Friday Agreement. First document in a long time, apart from the Sunningdale Anglo-Irish Agreement. They couldn't really agree on that there, so they had to take them over to Scotland, to St Andrews, and they agreed on that there, in the St Andrews Agreement. And then in 2004, we had General Chancellor from Canada overlooking the decommissioning of all paramilitary weapons put beyond use. And then from 2004 to now, we've more or less had everlasting peace. In the 70s, 80s and 90s, Northern Ireland was the second most dangerous city in the world. Beirut being number 1, Northern Ireland being number 2. We are now the 4th safest city in the world. Our crime is low. Our shootings are very, very low. So paramilitarism has taken the back seat. It's still there, but still it's taken the back seat. Okay? So that's our history of Ireland's history, and around about over 1,000 years. It will give you a flavour and a sense of who came there and who went home, but who stayed. And the ones who stayed have more or less caused all the trouble here. This painting here, painted in 1995, so it's 23-year-old. Hasn't been touched up or anything like that there. Okay. Tell me what you think's missing from the painting.
Well, there are no men, they're just women.
That's the number one answer. Very good. No men, no repairs to the houses, no doors, no windows, no roofs. All the men are away fighting the English army. Top right hand corner, you see a light blue ship. Alright, Prince William's Navy going over to King Louis XIV of France. So all the livestock was put on board, which meant there's very little vegetables for the women to look at. Okay, look at the women here. No shoes in their feet. Their fingers bony. Their clothes torn and restitched. Even the children's. Okay, so the women were trying to do all the work. Look at their faces, ghostly looking. So the British soldiers came over and said to the women, "Sell us your surname and we will give you a pig's head and a penny." Some of the women declined, and some other women says, "What does that mean?" Well, if your name was O'Donoghue, O'Neill, O'Kane, O'Callaghan, that's the big O. Sell us the O of your surname. You no longer become Irish, you don't become English, you become British. Some people accepted and some people didn't. The people who accepted went into the markets the next couple of days, and your name would have been, well, O'Kane, how are you? You don't call me O'Kane anymore, you call me Kane. Get away from me, you sold your heart to the English crown. So if you come from the bottom part of Ireland, like Laois, Cork, Limerick, Killarney, Dingle, people who sold the O of their surname is better ways other known as taking the soup. There you go.
So they were kind of branded in this way.
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
It's a remembrance garden, isn't it?
Yes. I don't talk about that over
Okay.
here, because that's just for their own. I'm a Protestant, but I live in the Falls Road, which is very unique. It doesn't happen. Mixed marriages in Belfast doesn't happen. So I only know what's really what I'm talking about here. Here we go. 1873. Just what, like I said, the Catholics paint no justice or brutality. 6 people murdered by the British Army in 1873. And the 6 people were innocent. How do we know this? If they were in the Irish Republican Army and they were on either shot dead in their bed or shot dead out in the street, they would be known as a volunteer. So they have VOL in front of their name. Mm-hmm. So there's no VOL here. So they're all innocent people. The dogs in the street knew they were innocent, and the people who were related to them knew they were innocent. So why were they shot dead? In 1873, 2 groups of British soldiers were walking up here. One shot off a round, and the other shot to cover his tracks, namely shooting and killing 6 innocent young lads. Still no justice. What does that mean? Well, the British government done an Information of Freedom Act, which meant no one knew who shot who, where, when or why. It was lifted in November there, last year. So the 5 soldiers still alive today all got letters to come back to England to be tried for murder. Next thing, you've got the veterans of the British Army going about with placards. We're not murderers or terrorists, we're soldiers. We served Queen and country. And the solicitors for the 6 said it doesn't matter. Murder's murder, no matter what way you try to dress it up. So Belfast is like a patchwork quilt. You come out of one Catholic community and you're no sooner straight in to a Protestant community. This here's the first political statement wall painting. During the 70s, 80s and 90s, these curbstones would have been painted in them colours at the bottom of the wreath there. Green, white and gold. Green, white and gold flags. It's like a dog pissing up against a tree. It's marking its territory. So it was easy for British soldiers to know exactly where they were. Green, white and gold, loyal to all Ireland, the Pope of Rome and Brexit. Anything red, white and blue is loyal to the Queen or the King of England, the Commonwealth and the United Kingdom, and want to come out of Brexit. So that's the 2 different flags and colours. 2 different birds associated with Irish republicanism. One, the white dove, the sorsa, for peace, and the phoenix. The phoenix, the burning coming out of the ashes. Here we've got the Gaelic cross in the middle, and then you've got the sword and the shield of the 4 kings of Ireland, and the long pikes of the Irish rebellions of the 1700s. And then you've got the Tommy gun, the preferred weapon of the IRA in 1916.
And there are pictures, photographs?
No. There was a photograph on the Falls Road painted, but they've just painted it over in Friday there to do away, because William II, the Kaiser of Germany, actually sponsored the Irish Republican Army with weapons and ammunition for their campaign in 1916. You've got the Armalite on the left hand side, the American assault rifle, the M18, the preferred weapon of the Irish Republican Army from 1968 to decommissioning in 2004. Just watch your head there, love, you don't hit it. Okay?
Aufpassen mit deinem Kopf, Schatz.
On the top of the wall there's 22 people shot dead by the British Army. So 1970 and 1975 they implemented the shoot to kill policy. The reason, when they went into the Protestant estates, they saw the crown of the Queen, the Union Jack and the Royal Standard, and they just turned around and said, we're defending the wrong people here. So they turned the tables and they introduced a shoot to kill policy. And this is the outcome of it. 22 people from the bottom of this road here. Not from Northern Ireland or Belfast, but just from this area.
Mit den 70er Jahren sind wir jetzt in der Zeit angekommen, in der die Troubles den Alltag in der Republik und in Nordirland beherrschten. Ursprünglich wollten wir die Black Taxi Tour als Teil unseres Trips einfach auf eine halbe Stunde zusammenschneiden, aber aufgrund der aktuellen Problematik haben wir beschlossen, noch einen zweiten Teil zu produzieren und nicht zu kürzen. Du wirst dem Thema Nordirland-Konflikt auch noch in unseren weiteren Episoden begegnen, die wir aufgezeichnet haben. Denn in Irland gehört der einfach dazu. Es ist ja ein Teil der Geschichte des Landes. Es hat uns gefreut, dass du auch bei dieser Folge wieder mit von der Partie warst. Und wir hoffen, dass du dir auch die zweite Folge mit uns anhören wirst. Wenn dir diese Episode gefallen hat, dann bewerte uns auf iTunes oder noch besser hinterlass uns eine gute Rezension. Die Shownotes und den passenden deutschen Blog-Eintrag mit den entsprechenden Erklärungen findest du auf unserem Blog Erlebnis Irland.eu. Tschüssle, bis zum nächsten Mal, euer Christoph.